Hi guys, I'm live. It's Coach Erica here, your friendly and fabulous Orange County personal trainer. Welcome to my Friday live sessions. Today we are going to talk about injuries. Injuries, how you get them, and the difference between mobility and stability, or flexibility and stability. So welcome. It is 12:12, and while I wait to see if anybody else can jump on today, we'll just do a little intro about what we're doing and what I'm currently eating because I'm hungry. So for those of you who maybe will be joining us for the first time, I run this OC Health and Fitness Friends group. We're a private closed group on Facebook, and we post things every day about health and fitness and wellness. We do contests and challenges. Right now we are doing a plank challenge, a 21-day plank challenge. So if you are new to the group, then definitely join in. Jordan Severo is my assistant who posts everything, and she's been posting planks every day. So if you feel like you got to get that core in shape for summer, then definitely hop on to our plank challenge. Pretty much every Friday around noon, hey Brandy, pretty much around noon every Friday I do a Facebook Live seminar. I usually keep them pretty quick. I try to keep them 15 minutes or less, and we talk about all kinds of subjects regarding health and fitness. So if you're just joining us or you haven't seen any of my Facebook Lives before, you can catch the ones I've done in the past on video, the videos tab of this group, and I also download them on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and search Driven Fitness Erica, then you can see my channel. There's all kinds of videos there. There's some workouts and stuff like that. So that's that. While we see if anybody else can join us besides Brandy, I'm going to show you my new little treat, which is going to be backwards as usual, but this is it. My client Joan brought me these this morning. She brings them for me. All kinds of stuff she finds online or in stores or whatever. These are called Enlightened, the Good For You Crisps. Oh, Joan, I'm talking about you. Hi, Joan. So Joan, who just logged in, I'm sharing your treat. So Joan brought these to me this morning. They are roasted broad beans, which are actually, I had to look at the back, fava beans. And it's a little good for you snack. So if you are looking for something that's a healthy snack that's already done, you don't want to cook. I tried one, Joan. They're good. Has 7 grams of protein, only 1 gram of sugar, which is really, really important. These are the cocoa ones. And they have 6 grams of fiber, which I love. So a lot of us just do not get enough fiber. So it's a good little snack. I don't know if Joan has discovered, maybe you can, hey, Julie. Joan, I don't know, maybe you can type in if you figured out where to purchase these yet, or you have to get them online. She got them at a race. Then you can check them out. 100 calories, gluten-free, non-GMO if that's important to you, and they taste really good. Not super sweet, but really yummy. So Enlightened, the Good For You Crisp is what they're called. Eatenlightened.com. That's the website, eatenlightened.com. So if you're looking for a good little snack, this is an awesome one. I haven't had lunch yet, so I'm snacking away. Okay, so today we are going to talk about injuries. And almost all of us, if we are active, are probably going to suffer some sort of injury during our active lives, whether it is, just an injury that then heals, or whether it's a chronic injury and is something that we have to deal with all the time. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the difference between flexibility and stability and why that is important for you in injury prevention. And then if you do have an injury, why it's important for rehabbing it. So most of the time, unless you have a traumatic injury, so unless you fall or you're in a car accident or something like that, injuries often occur over time. So if you don't have a traumatic injury, it's usually an overtime thing that many times happens because of an imbalance in the body. And the imbalance is usually due to, well, it can be due to a lot of things, but many times what I see it being due to is either a lack of mobility or a lack of stability. So we're going to talk about both of those because they're really important things that you can add into your exercise routine to help you prevent injury in the future. So what are they? So first of all, stability is the ability to really support your joints while you're moving. So while you're running or walking or cycling or doing boot camp, how well can your muscles keep all your bones and your joints moving how they should be moving? So, if you don't have a lot of stability in your life, when you're running, your knees might knock, that could be an example. Or like if you do a squat, and when you do a squat, if you look at yourself in the mirror and your knees are kind of wobbling all over the place, they're not nice and straight over your toes or in line with your toes, then those are examples of not having a lot of stability. And stability is important because if you don't have stability, then you don't have anything supporting those joints and making sure that they stay where they need to stay as you're moving through space. And the more you demand of your body, like the faster you go or the harder you lift, the heavier you lift, or the longer duration you go, stability becomes even more important because those joints are getting used all the time. The muscles are getting used all the time. Many times in the same way, like if you're running, right, over and over and over and over the same way. And if they aren't being stabilized properly, then they're going to be moving incorrectly over and over and over. And that can lead to injury. So that's stability. Mobility or flexibility is the opposite. So flexibility is how well does your muscle move through its full range of motion? So can it stretch out and then can it contract, right? So I talk about this a lot when I talk about flexibility. Like it's not like whether you can put your foot behind your head, right? I mean, that is an extreme, kind of like extreme on the spectrum of flexibility. If you can put your foot over your head, why don't you go ahead and give me a little thumbs up? I don't think I'm going to get very many thumbs up on that one. But we're talking about in general with flexibility, how well your muscles can move through their full range. So if you don't have a lot of mobility or flexibility, then that means your muscles cannot stretch properly, right? They can't lengthen so that they then can contract to do what they need to do to move your body. Some people have too much flexibility, right? So they are very loosey-goosey. And having too much or not enough are both problems. So if that makes sense so far between the difference of stability versus mobility, why don't you give me a quick thumbs up? I didn't get any thumbs up on the foot behind your head question. I'm not surprised. So you need both mobility and stability. Perfect, I got some thumbs up. You need not equal, but you need both of those things in order to stay injury free, right? I have my notes here, that's why I keep looking down. You guys know I always use notes. When I don't use notes, that's when my Facebook Lives don't come out so smooth. So when you have too much of one and not enough of the other, that's when injuries really start to happen. And in most cases, at least the ones that I see, and probably most of the ones that physical therapists see, injuries are because people have too much stability and not enough mobility. So that means they're stiff, right? You're stiff. You don't stretch. You can't stretch. So say like you're a tennis player and you go back to like do a serve. If you don't have the mobility through these muscles to be able to stretch that arm and then do your serve or a volleyball serve, like whatever this motion is, if you have too much stability and they're tight, then when all of a sudden you try to do that fast, that's when these muscles can't stretch properly and you get injured. Maybe you tear something, maybe you hurt the joint. So most people get injured when they have too much stability and they're kind of rigid. Less frequent are people who have too much stability, like super flexible people. I'm not super flexible, but my injury was because of lack of stability, right? So I'm flexible. I've always been flexible. I was a dancer, so I started stretching when I was very young. But that flexibility meant that all of my joints and stuff can move around, especially then when I started running and cycling, and I didn't have enough strength to provide the stability of joints through the joints that I needed, and that's how I hurt my hip. So for most people, it's one or the other. More people have too much stability than too much mobility. I'm going to start getting confused between my mobilities and my stabilities. So what they say is, they have a fancy word for it. It's called Mo-stability. They just combine those two words. It means you need both. So how do you get both, and how do you know what you have? Well, I'm going to tell you. So if you're super, super mobile, you probably know it. Those are the people that can put their feet behind their heads, right? If you don't have a lot of mobility, you also probably know it. Those are the people who have never been able to touch their toes, have just been always tight. So in that case, most people can tell if they're extreme one way or the other. But there's a lot of different places on the spectrum where you can be, and you can get that tested. So what you do is you go into your physical therapist before you have an injury or when you have an injury, and they'll do a whole bunch of tests. And they'll test your mobility, how well you can stretch. And then they'll also test your stability. And if you've been to a physical therapist before, you might have had some of these tests done where they'll like press against a leg and make you try to lift it against gravity and not let them press a leg down. So they'll test one side of your body versus the other to see if you have stability and strength. So what they're looking for is strength through each muscle, particularly on each side of the body. Does that make sense? So, testing for stability and mobility, you really should go to physical therapist trainers. We're not really trained to be dealing with that kind of testing. Once we know what the issue is, then we can help you. If a PT is not going to, but doing that testing, unless you have special training to do the testing, that's something a therapist should really be doing. Once you find out which side you're on, whether you have too much stability or too much mobility, that's what you can fix. So if you have too much mobility and you need more strength, which a lot of people do, like you might even be tight but still lack strength in your hips, in your core, that's when all of your little correctives come in. So, I give all of my clients correctives that they do at our gym when they come in every day. They can do them at home. And these are small, precise exercises that work on very small muscles. And that is to create strength within that little muscle, because that little muscle isn't working properly right now. So a lot of people have really weak hips. It's very common. It's from the way we live a sedentary lifestyle these days. And so you might get exercises to strengthen just the little muscles on the outside of your hips so that they start doing their job. Once they start doing their job, then all the other muscles can do their jobs properly as well, and it'll keep your joints and everything doing what they're supposed to be doing in the right alignment, and hopefully no injuries will happen. So if you are finding that you are weak, your knees are knocking all around when you run, then your knees hit, like that kind of stuff, then you need exercises that are going to make those muscles stronger and give you more stability. If you have too much mobility, you also need these strength exercises. So if you just happen to have a lot of flexibility, then you need to make sure those muscles around each joint, hips, knees, shoulders, back, they're all really, really strong so that they can help keep those joints where they need to be. If you are a person that has enough stability, you're strong, you're great, but you're super tight, then you need to work on increasing your flexibility or your mobility. And that is by stretching regularly, right? So give me a thumbs up if you take like one stretching or flexibility class a week. I tell everyone that they should be doing at least one flexibility class a week. I'm not seeing any thumbs up yet. That's disturbing. I tell everybody that they need to be doing one sort of yoga, stretching, some kind of flexibility class a week, whether it's at home or in a studio. And I'm not talking about a super rigorous, like there's a thumbs up, a super rigorous workout yoga. It's like a gentle yoga or something that's just going to allow your muscles to gently lengthen. So when you're working on flexibility, whether it's in your yoga class or on your own, you don't want to be like trying to pull that muscle as hard as you can. Like I'm going to get it long. Like that's not going to help. Your muscles need to be gently lengthened. So when you're thinking about stretching, you want to think about gently lengthening and just bringing those muscles back to their like natural elongated length. Oftentimes with athletes especially, I see them just like like wrenching their legs up or trying to really like force the stretch. And the problem with that is that your muscles have a reaction in them that will react to tension. So if they sense too much tension, then they contract, because that response is to prevent you from ripping a muscle because you're doing something wrong, right? So if those muscles feel like, oh my God, I'm getting stretched, I might tear, then they're gonna contract and tighten, and that's not what you want. You want them to gently loosen. So you gotta think about just very gentle stretching and lengthening. So one yoga class a week or stretch class a week, and daily stretching after your workouts. So that's stretching the whole body. On the body parts you used. On my YouTube channel, at like towards the bottom, there is a link to a video that's the top 6 stretches for runners. And those are ones that you should be doing every time after your workout. And you're gonna wanna hold each stretch for 30 to 60 seconds. The other thing you want to do to improve your mobility is body work. So that's things like daily foam rolling. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Foam rolling, it's very important for restoring muscle length and function. Massage, that kind of stuff. Physical therapy, anything that helps physically work on the muscles to get them to start to relax. Because just like muscles have a response to tension, they also have a response to pressure, which is why we foam roll and we do massage. Is because when a muscle, if there's a knot in it like this, when a muscle gets pressure put on that knot, you know, after about a minute or so, your brain says, hey, like there's pressure on you, knot, you better relax. So then we start to relax and restore all the muscle fibers so they look like this. And then they can do this when you stretch and contract, and they don't look like that and not do anything. Okay, so that's where body work comes in. So you want to be working on both of those things. Number one, you got to figure out if you have too much stability or too much mobility, either on your own or with a professional. Number two, once you decide which one of those you are, you got to work on preventing injury by improving either the strength or the flexibility. So if you already have an injury, that's easy. We know what happened most likely. Your PT can give you your exercises. The trick is if you don't have an injury yet, and that's when you got to do the stuff that's not that fun because nothing hurts. So why do those little exercises? Why stretch? You don't need to. Well, it's for the future, right? So it's preventing you from being injured in the future is why we got to do that boring stuff now. So does anybody have any questions about stability or mobility or how you get injuries? I'll let give it a couple minutes to see if anyone can wants to type anything. We just got a couple people today. I'm also drinking a protein shake. So I ran out of protein powder. Right now I really like Sun Warrior. I know I like Vega also, but I really like Sun Warrior, and I just became an affiliate with them. So watch for me to do something with them soon. But I ran out. So today my shake just has non-fat milk, a cup of yogurt, a tablespoon of peanut butter, and a banana. So it's just going to have to do for right now. Okay, no questions. All right, that was a quick one. It was like 15 minutes. I'm on schedule. So I hope you liked it this week. Next week, I haven't decided what we're going to talk about yet. I will let you know as soon as I can. I want to grow this group, so please invite your friends to like our Facebook group if you enjoy these Friday sessions. And then also please share them. You can go to YouTube and share the video, or subscribe to YouTube so I have more than like 100 followers. I don't even think I have 100 followers right now. I don't know how many I have on YouTube, but it's not enough. Okay, so with that, that's it. Go out, figure out what you are, do your correctives, work on your flexibility, stay injury free so you can be happy and healthy, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.